Pacing in a movie is all about balance. If it's too slow, you end up stuck waiting for something to happen and the story feels like it's crawling along, you don't really feel like it's getting anywhere, and you start wondering if it's even worth watching the rest of the movie or TV show. On the flip side of that coin, if the pacing is too fast, it's like everything's happening in a blur. The scenes rush by so quickly that you don't have any time to process what's happening, and you end up just feeling lost and confused. Sure, the movie's telling you the plot, but it's not giving you the chance to actually experience it. And with that point made, we move on to the Rise of Skywalker, which is simply one of the worst paced movies I've ever seen in my life. One of the worst moments in all of Star Wars comes pretty early on in The Rise of Skywalker, when the audience is told that Emperor Palpatine is somehow alive. We all know that this moment is just completely stupid. The filmmakers themselves couldn't even muster the energy to treat this situation seriously. In storytelling, major revelations like this one need room to breathe, and the pacing makes this very important. It's what builds anticipation, tension, and allows the audience to process the stakes and everything else that's unfolding. Like in Empire Strikes Back when Darth Vader tells Luke that he's his father, this moment is shocking, devastating, and all of that because it comes at the conclusion of an emotional and physical battle. The pacing ensures that the weight of this moment lands. Now, if you compare this moment to the Palpatine reveal in The Rise of Skywalker, there's just no build-up or foreshadowing towards it. Instead, the film treats Palpatine's return as a plot convenience, a piece of exposition to check off before rushing to the next action scene. What's worse is that the film provides no explanation for how Palpatine survived his death in Return of the Jedi in the first place. The audience is just expected to accept vague references like dark science and cloning. This laziness in both the writing and the pacing robs the moment of any dramatic impact it could have had. From a filmmaking perspective, this is, to put it bluntly, really bad. Pacing is about guiding the audience's emotional journey, giving them the time to absorb and react to pivotal moments. By rushing through this revelation, the film denies its audience the chance to feel the shock and weight of Palpatine's return. Instead of suspense or intrigue, the audience is just confused. Major revelations such as this one demand time and care, build anticipation, create a sense of wonder or dread, and ensure that the audience can emotionally engage with the moment. Throwing out information as important as this in a rushed way diminishes its significance and alienates the viewer. The pacing in The Rise of Skywalker is relentless. It sacrifices depth for constant forward motion. The film is structured as a series of fetch quests, with the characters racing from one location to the next in search of the next thing, whether it be the Sith Wayfinder, the dagger, the inscription on the dagger, all of which serve little to no purpose beyond driving the plot forward. For example, the scene on the desert planet of Pasana. This should have been an opportunity to immerse the audience in the galaxy and its cultures. Instead, it's another rush sequence that ends up in another high-speed chase. The festival on Pasana looks interesting, to be honest, with its vibrant colours, but we'll never know because the audience isn't given any time to look at anything. The film moves so quickly that nothing has time to feel meaningful. In storytelling, action and reflection must coexist. Action drives the plot, but reflection deepens the narrative, allowing characters to grow and themes to emerge. A well-paced film alternates between moments of high energy and quiet introspection. In Empire Strikes Back, after the Empire chase Han, Chewie, and everybody else through the asteroid field, the story slows down to focus on Luke's training with Yoda and the development of Han and Leia's relationship. These quieter moments enrich the story, providing emotional resonance and a sense of stakes. In The Rise of Skywalker, this balance just isn't there. The film jumps from one set piece to the next, leaving no time for the audience or the characters within the story to reflect. As a result, the characters feel hollow and their arcs also feel rushed. The audience is bombarded with action but given no reason to care about the outcome. Action is meaningless without emotional grounding. To keep the audience engaged, you must balance high energy sequences with quieter moments of reflection. Let characters breathe, explore their motivations, and connect with the audience on a deeper level. An important part of pacing is how emotional stakes are established and resolved. When a story introduces a dramatic event, it must give the audience time to feel its weight, to process its implications, and to see how it affects the characters and the larger narrative. Failing to do so undermines the emotional core of a story, leaving the audience feeling cheated. The Rise of Skywalker obviously provides a brilliant example of this mistake, when they pretend that Chewbacca is dead. In the film, Rey accidentally accidentally destroys a transport that she believes is carrying Chewbacca. This moment is set up as a turning point in the story. Rey is forced to confront the destructive power of her connection to the Force and the dark potential within her. For a moment at least, it feels like the story's taken a bold step, shaking its characters and its audience to the emotional core. But before this revelation has time to sink in, the film miraculously undercuts itself. A few moments later, it's revealed that Chewbacca is alive and well and unharmed, having been on an entirely different transport all along. This immediate reversal renders the entire sequence completely pointless. There's no time for the audience or the characters to sit with the grief of losing a beloved figure, or there's no exploration of how Rey might process the guilt of her actions, and no lasting consequences. This fake death feels almost manipulative, as though it was only in the movie to create some cheap tension before moving on. Now let's look at a movie that handles faking a character's death much better. And that is of course Nick Fury's fake death in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. In The Winter Soldier, Nick Fury is ambushed and seemingly killed. His death is treated with the gravity it deserves. Captain America and Black Widow react with genuine grief, and the audience is given time to process the loss of a character who has been the cornerstone of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. More importantly, even after Nick Fury is revealed to have faked his death, the impact of this event hasn't been forgotten. The decision serves the story's broader themes of trust, betrayal, and espionage. It reinforces the stakes of the narrative and deepens the character's arcs, particularly Steve's disappointment with the institutions he once believed in. The reveal is handled with care, adding layers to the story rather than cheapening it. In The Rise of Skywalker, Chewbacca's fake death does anything but this. The moment is resolved so quickly and casually that it had no impact on the story or the characters. Rey's emotional turmoil over her powers is abandoned as soon as it's revealed that Chewbacca is alive, and the audience is left wondering why the scene was even included in the first place. This failure reflects not just poor pacing, but also a lack of respect for the audience's emotional investment. A fake death, like any narrative twist, must serve the story in a meaningful way. It should deepen the stakes, but also drive character development or explore themes within the story. Just as importantly, the pacing must allow the audience to feel the weight of the event before revealing the truth. The Winter Soldier succeeds because it uses Nick Fury's death to enhance the story, while The Rise of Skywalker fails because it treats Chewbacca's death as a cheap trick, devoid of any lasting impact or emotional resonance. Pacing isn't just about how quickly or slowly events happen in a story. It's about how those events are timed to create emotional engagement, build tension, and deliver payoff. It's the heartbeat of storytelling, the rhythm that ensures audiences stay connected to the narrative. The Rise of Skywalker is a textbook example of bad pacing. By rushing through major plot points, failing to balance action and reflection, and undermining emotional stakes, the film alienates its audience and sacrifices any emotional resonance. The result is a story that feels frantic, shallow, and exhausting, with no room for the audience to process or care what's happening on the screen. The takeaway of this video is that pacing is not just a technical consideration, it's an emotional one. It's about understanding how to guide the audience through the narrative in a way that feels natural, engaging, and satisfying. It's about giving moments the space they need to resonate, whether that means lingering on a character's grief, building suspense before a reveal, or taking a breath after an intense action sequence. In the end, The Rise of Skywalker fails because it treats pacing as an afterthought, rushing from one moment to the next without any regard for the emotional journey of its audience. But in its failure, it offers a valuable lesson. Pacing is not just about speed, it's about timing, rhythm, and balance. It's what transforms a collection of scenes into a cohesive, powerful narrative. Storytellers who master pacing can elevate their work, creating stories that linger in the minds and hearts of audiences long after the credits roll. And that's why The Rise of Skywalker is a movie no one remembers. And that's the blunt truth of it.